Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar. This is number 5 of the data management series, which is all about deleting your records such as customers, suppliers and nominals. Today's session is booked out for around 45 minutes, but we may get through the steps sooner than that, so you may get some time back today. Just depends on how many questions we have outstanding at the end. My name is Abby and I'm going to be your host for this afternoon. We also have Laura on hand today to answer your questions, but I will try and my best to answer them live and pick some up as we go as well. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we move on. So your microphone is going to be automatically muted and you won't be able to unmute yourself. If you wish to ask any questions, you can use the questions panel down the right hand side. And it's just that little speech bubble with the question mark in the middle. That's going to open up the questions panel and you can send your questions across to me and Laura. There is a handout available for today. You can click on the icon that looks like a little document with a folded corner. We always recommend to download these handouts as they do have some helpful links to our help centre. There is also a printer-friendly version as well, and also if you like to save that ink, so that is available to you. Just a reminder, just like every single session that we do, the webinar is recorded and you are going to receive a link in your follow-up email. And you're also going to include links to the registration page and our recordings page as well in your follow-up email. And you're going to get that around an hour after the session has ended. So keep an eye out for that. It's always handy to have those links. So just a reminder about the badge. So the digital badge, all you need to do is simply attend 5 out of the 7 topics and also the quiz. You don't have to get all the answers right on the quiz, but your attendance to the live sessions is key. So we've already covered sessions like backing up, data management tool, company archives, and then clearing your audit trail to remove all transactions. So now we're going to be covering how to delete your customers, suppliers, nominal codes and bank accounts. We've also got 2 sessions left for the topics, so clearing stock transactions and deleting product records, and also how to flag records as inactive to hide them from your lists as well. And like I say, at the end, we have the quiz to test your knowledge. If you want to get registered for those other sessions, the link's going to be provided in your email. Alternatively, if you've got the handout downloaded, you can click register now and you can register for those sessions. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering on today's webinar. So we're going to start with why should I clear out my records? Then we're going to go through the process of deleting customers, suppliers and nominal codes with some live demonstration. I will then explain how to compress your data after deleting records, and then I'll summarize the session. Just want to launch a quick poll on your screen before we move on. I'm just wanting to know, have you previously attended or viewed our Clear Audit Trail session? So it doesn't have to be part of the badging series. It could be that you've attended just one of the standalone sessions, or you could have watched the recording on our recordings page. So if you can pop your answer in there for me, simple yes or no. Once we've got around 70–75%, I'll close the poll down and then I'll share the results with you anyways. So I can see the votes are coming in nice and quickly. We'll give it a little bit longer for those who haven't yet voted. Okay, so we've got around 75% there now. So don't worry if you haven't voted. Again, it's just a little bit of insight for us. So 69% of you have said yes, and 31% of you have said no. Now, I am going to briefly go through the Clear Audit Trail process. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I am going to run the Clear Audit Trail to show you. Okay, so let's close that poll down. Okay, let's get stuck in. So let's start off with, well, why should I clear out my records? So clearing data is an optional task, but we always recommend it if you do a lot of processing. It ensures the data that you use day to day is up to date and makes it easier to locate information rather than trailing through decades worth of information. You can make searches and filters work more efficiently, and it can speed up general processing in the software in some cases. Now, please note, if you are experiencing speed issues, please bear in mind there could be external environmental factors also impacting those processing speeds. If you do have a large data set and experiencing speed issues in your records in particular, it's always a good place to start. But if you are unsure, you can always contact our support team. So once a clear audit trail has been run, you can then delete any records where the activity is clear. You can delete individual records by using the delete option along the top of the records window. Then this also can be done by highlighting the records in the list and opting to delete. You can also do this for multiple records in one go. So what we'll do now is we're going to go straight into demonstration. So I'm going to pop over to my software. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the help and about page first. So we're going to go to help along the top. You might want to do this with me in your company. You're going to go into help and then into about. In your help and about page, we're going to go into configuration information on the left-hand side. 3/4 of the way down, you will see clear audit trail date. If it says NA, that means a clear audit trail has never been ran. If it does have a date in there, that means that date that is in there is the last date it was cleared up to. So not the date it was ran, it was the last date it was cleared up to. We also want to have a look as well under data information, which is in the middle column, second section down, you've got splits. You want to make a note of your splits as well. Splits are basically the number of transactions that you have in your transactions module. What we're referring to is if we pop to transactions, every single line that we have in here is a split. So that's what we're referring to. So we're going to pop into customers, and I just want to show you a customer, and we'll pop down. We're going to go to Simpson's Restaurant. So I open up the activity for Simpson's Restaurant. You can see here I've got 2 transactions for 2018. So if we're going to run a quick clear audit trail process up to for example 2020, these transactions should be cleared down given they meet the criteria. So what we'll do now is we're going to run a clear audit trail. For those of you who don't know what a clear audit trail is, I know some of you mentioned that you haven't watched our session, clear audit trail process will clear any of those transactions that appear in this window, given it fits the criteria. So there's a certain set of criteria that it needs to meet. So we're going to go into that process now. So we're going to go into Tools, down to Period End. I'm going to do Clear Audit Trail. So it's going to bring up this window here. And as you can see, it does state the criteria your transactions must meet. So dated on or before the specified date below, fully paid if applicable, bank and VAT reconciled if applicable, and also allocated to transactions meeting the same criteria. It does say here as well, we do recommend that you keep at least 1 financial year's worth of data. And then it's going to ask us, well, which date do you want to clear the transactions up to? I'm actually going to keep 5 years worth of data. So we're going to go back to 2020 and I'm going to clear up to the 31st of December 2020. We've also got the following bank accounts do have the bank reconciliation turned on, but they might not have been reconciled since then. So you can see I've got some here. So you might want to, if you've got some old bank reconciliation bank accounts that you don't actually reconcile within the software, and you've got transactions in there that you do want to clear down, you might want to turn those options off. So you can tick that off to turn the bank rec off for these particular banks. So what we're going to do now is we're going to click Clear Audit Trail. It's going to get us to do a backup. We always make sure that you do a backup before you do your Clear Audit Trail. So I'm just going to do a data files only backup. I'm going to click OK. We'll check the data as well. It's got no problems to report. That's great. We'll get it to do the backup. Backup has been successful. You can see now what it's doing is it's going through and it's deleting all those old transactions that have met the criteria. So it says there, I've got 716 transactions have since been removed from your audit trail. So that's from the transactions module. If you'd like to view the details of these transactions, please check the box below. And what that'll do is it'll run a report for us. So that's going to tell us which transactions have since been removed. So now we've done that, we can close. If we pop back into Help and About, you can see now I've got the clear audit trail date, and that's the date I cleared up to, so the 31st of December 2020. And you can see now my splits have reduced to 1060. So now to get on to removing records. So we're going to go to customers. And what we'll do is we'll apply a filter. We're going to put balance is equal to 0, because obviously we want to be deleting those records that have a 0 balance. So we'll click apply. So these are all the records that I've got with a 0 balance. Now, not all of these customers are going to not have activity. So, for example, we looked at Simpson's Restaurant, so we know that those transactions fell before the date of what I cleared up to. So I can just click on Simpson's Restaurant and click activity. We can see now there's no activity showing in this customer record. So now that customer can now be deleted. So you can either right click and you can delete from here. You can also delete from within there. If you double click in here, on the screen, you can also delete this record from within the top as well. So there's multiple ways you can delete those records as well. What you could also do as well is you could run a report. So you can run an activity report, and this will help you look, identify which customers or suppliers or bank accounts or anything have no activity, because just because I've got a 0 balance doesn't mean that they have no activity. So we'll clear that. What we'll do is we'll run a report. We'll run the customer activity. I'm just going to run the summary one. So because I've got a filter applied, it'll only run it for those with a that show in the filter. You can run it for all time if you wanted to, or you could just run it for up to 31st of the 12th. (2020). You can see there, I've now got my report there. So what I can do is I can scroll down, I can see if any of my customers have got activity. So I know none of them have now got activity. So what I can do is I can swap, select them all, press delete. It says, do you want to delete these records? Yes. So I'll press yes, delete those records for me. And now those records have now been cleared. So I'll clear that filter, and then I've brought the rest of my active customers back. Again, the steps are exactly the same throughout. So whether you do it suppliers, bank, nominal codes. So we pop into suppliers, I'll do the steps again. So in here, you might want to filter where balance is equal to 0. We'll then run a report. We'll run that supplier activity. Again, we'll just run the summary one for this one. The reason I'm doing it before this is so then we know that it's these customers or suppliers we've specified. So again, we'll come in here, check the activity. Okay, well, no activity. What you will find is if you might have some customers or suppliers where they do have activity, and that's where you're going to be doing an investigation as to why they've not been cleared down. Could be down a date, whether they've been flagged as they haven't been bank or VAT reconciled and they should have been. So there's loads of investigations that you may need to do as to why they may not have cleared down. Again, you could do the same in bank accounts. So you can't apply a filter within bank accounts, but you could, the ones that have a 0 balance, you could then pop in here and then pop into activity and see if there's any activity. If there isn't, obviously then you can delete those as well. Nominal codes. You can also apply a filter in here if you are on version 29 and above. So in version 29, a filter was introduced, so we'll just do exactly the same. Balance is equal to 0. Click apply. And then what we'll do now is run that report, run a normal activity. Make sure you run the normal activity, not the one excluding no transactions, because obviously we want to identify where transactions. So this is where you're going to find where some haven't necessarily been cleared down. So although they've got a 0 balance, we've got some activity on there. So this is at this point, this is where you're going to be looking, well, why haven't these cleared down? Again, well, fits the date, but what else is there that could be preventing that from being cleared down? So then once you've identified which ones, you can then choose one, delete, yes. If you do try and delete one as well, it will also give you a warning as to why, why they may not be able to be deleted. So at least then it gives you a pointer in the right direction of where you might need to start investigating. Okay, so that is how easy it is to, identify those records that no longer have activity, and you want to delete those. Again, there is also as well, if you don't want to necessarily delete them, you might want to mark them in as active. we do have a session, obviously part of this badging series, on how to mark your records as inactive. And I'm not going to go into that today. Again, if you want to get registered for that session, the link will be in your follow-up email. I'm just going to pop back to my slides. I'm just going to talk more about the compressing of your data. So after deleting your records, in order to reduce the size of your data files, you must compress. Well, I say must, it's an optional thing. So you want to be recompressing your data. You can find this by going to File, Maintenance, and then Compress Data. If you delete records from your list, the size of your data file does not reduce until the relevant ledgers are compressed. Before doing this, you always want to make sure that you've got an error-free backup prior to running this routine. So what I'll do is we'll pop back to the software and I'll show you how to do this. So in here, you want to make sure, like you say, you might want to do a backup beforehand. You want to go to File, Maintenance, and in the top right, you've got Data Compression. So it says here, if you've previously deleted large amounts of data, run this option to reclaim disk space used by the deleted records. Again, this is completely optional, but this is what we recommend to do once you have removed any records. Question there from, I know Laura's picking that up as well, it's from Kerry Lee. Does inactive help with file size? So unless you are actually removing the record, then you won't be able to reclaim that disk space. That will have to be removed from the program. So we're going to click Compress Data. You then want to untick Compress All Data Files. So then you've got all the options available. And then what you want to do is you want to pick only the areas that you have deleted from. So I know that we deleted from the sales ledger. I don't think I went through with the purchase ledger, but let's just say we only deleted from the sales ledger. If you did from purchase and then also from nominals or bank accounts, you would also tick those options as well. So once you've ticked the relevant areas, click Compress. Compression complete. Now, if your data is slightly larger, it might take a little bit longer, so don't worry about that as well. So we've done that. So then all you need to do is then just click Close, and your data has been compressed. Okay, so I'm going to pop back to my slides so I can summarize the session. Okay, so to summarize, so clearing your records is an optional task. Clearing old data may allow you to work more efficiently. Always take a full backup and ensure you have an archive prior to clearing any records. Records will only clear if they meet certain criteria. If you can't remove an item, an alternative may be to mark the record as inactive. And lastly as well, compressing the data reclaims disk space on your computer, but again, it is totally optional. So what I have to do is I've provided some guides here. So the cleave auditory process, deleting records, and also compressing your data. So if you want to find some step-by-step guides, then you have got those available as well. Okay, so here's your last chance now to get your questions in. I've got one to pick up here from Carol. So is there a module on applying filters to records? So I'm assuming you're referring to webinars. So what I'll do is I will show you where you can find this. So if we go to in the Help Center, if you go to webinars, we go down to previous recordings. And then what we can do is we can find the filters. I'm trying to remember where it might be in here. Probably going to find it in, let's have a look. Yep, so under customers and suppliers, we've got loads of recordings, as you can see. These are all different sessions. So we've got inactive records if you wanted to catch up on that one, or if you can wait if you want to earn the digital badge. But we've got filters and search. We've got filtering your customers list with analysis fields, using the quick search. So there's loads of different ways you can filter as well. So if you want to watch those recordings, Carol, they are available to you. Okay, so just while Laura's picking up the last question, pop back to my slides. Just a reminder, there are webinars for Sage 50 accounts and Sage 50 payroll as well. You can simply visit, go to the Help Centre. Alternatively, you can go to sage.co.uk/webinars. Okay, so like I say, we didn't need the full 45 minutes for this session. So what I'll do is I just want to say thank you for attending today. If you've got what you need today and you want to leave the session, you will receive an email in around an hour or so with links to both our webinar schedule and today's recorded session for you to refer back to if needs be. You will also receive a short survey. If you could pop a comment on there, what you liked about today's session, what you would like to have seen, what we could improve on. So we do like to read every single comment that is submitted to us. What I'll do is I'll give it just another minute or so if anyone has any further questions to ask, since we have got a little bit of spare time. So I'll just pop myself on a brief mute and then I'll come back to you shortly. So I've just got a question there coming in from John there. So wanting to know, is company like archiving your company mandatory? So archiving your company is optional, but we do always recommend when you're running the clear audit trail or removing any records is to run a company archive. Quickly pop back to my software and I'll quickly show you where that option is. So pop back over to my other screen there. You will find the archive option within Tools and Period End. And then you've got the Archive Company option. We always recommend to do this option prior to running either the clear audit trail or if you're removing records at a later date, then also run a company archive at that point as well. So it'll create a company archive for you. And what you can do is anything that's since been removed, you can then, I'll quickly create one to show you. What you can do is if you need to access those old records that have since been removed, you can log into your company archive just by going to File, Open, and then Company Archive. Again, we've done a session on Company Archive, and there is recordings on our help centre as well. Okay, so that's all the questions that have been answered. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this session up. I want to say thank you to Laura for being on hand today, and thank you to you all for your participation. So just a reminder, we've got plenty of sessions over the next couple of weeks, so don't be shy and get registered. So I want to say another thank you and take care.